It was not the courts, the cameras, or even the wives who uncovered him. It was a child. The world wasn't expecting it. One night, it was a mellow Tuesday evening. The next, all screens across America flashed the same title, Life Inside the Brown House, What You Didn't See. Initially, nobody thought it was real. A 30-minute, raw, handheld video, clandestinely taken over the months within the Brown homes. No TLC editors, no production crew, just reality, raw. Within hours, it reached more than 10 million views, and within a day, it would shatter the whole Brown legacy. The video started innocently enough. A muffled clip of the kitchen, kids giggling in the background. But then it changed. An offstage discussion between Kody and Robyn, him screaming, her sobbing. Cut to another scene, Christine's voice shaking over a baby monitor as she soothed a child experiencing a panic attack after dad left again. The worst moment? A clip in which Kody's voice, unmistakable, snapped at one of his children saying, "Stop crying, it's manipulative. You're just like your mother." And the child spoke up, barely above a whisper, "I just want you to love me." The internet blew up. Fans were appalled. Hashtags flooded, #expose Kody Brown, #justice for Brown, kids #Sister Wives. Uncut, TLC made a hasty announcement that they were reviewing the situation. But the harm was done. Christine, Janelle, and Meri hadn't merely witnessed it, they had experienced it, and now, for the first time, they weren't alone. Millions stood with them now. By morning, Christine had sued. Emotional abuse, defamation, coercion. The courtroom was ready, but this wasn't a custody battle, a money grab, or a property dispute. This was a war for the truth. Kody didn't bat an eye, at least, not in public. He labeled it a betrayal, a smear campaign, and a desperate cry for attention. But what he didn't yet realize, what none of them did, was that the child behind the camera had captured it all. The tears, the threats, the favoritism, the silence. And they hadn't done it for fame. They'd done it because they were sick of being told that their reality was a fabrication. The courtroom was packed with reporters. Fans camped out with signs. The judge directed media silent. But that didn't keep the world from watching. Christine arrived first, stoic face, carrying a folder marked only unedited. Janelle followed, saying something to Meri. And then Robyn walked in, by herself. Kody arrived last. He came in his standard suit, the one he wore to family interviews, clean and ironed, but loose around the neck today. The top button open, smaller than he'd been in years. Not the family's focal point. Just a guy going into a courtroom where his children were the witnesses. No TLC cameras, no lighting team, just justice. And when the judge rapped the gavel and called the first witness, it wasn't a wife, it was a teenager. The same teenager who had posted the video. The one who used to grasp their father's approval like air. Now they faced him, hands shaking, voice barely above a whisper, and said, "I just wanted people to know what it was really like." When the cameras left, when he stopped pretending. In that instant, the courtroom shifted. So did the viewers sitting behind theirs. Because this wasn't merely a family disintegrating. It was a reckoning. What would you do if your child leaked your secrets to the world? Do you think they were brave? Or crossed the line? Leave your thoughts in the comments. We're listening here at Sister Wives Daily Scoop. This is more than a courtroom drama. It's the most unvarnished chapter the Sister Wives franchise has ever known. Careers will be ruined, friendships will shatter, and reputations, built over the course of years of reality TV, will be destroyed in a single sentence given under oath. Because this time, the truth was on tape. If you're prepared to find out what actually went down behind closed doors, don't forget to subscribe to Sister Wives Daily Scoop for the most in-depth breakdowns, courtroom confrontations, and the stories no one else will tell. What comes next will blow your mind. And once it starts, no one gets away scot-free. It began with a beep, one notification sound on Christine Brown's phone. She sat on the couch, folding laundry, not thinking about anything. The kids were gone. The house was peacefully still. The text was from her niece, just a link. No message, just the title, Life Inside the Brown House, What You Didn't See. Christine clicked it, and all went silent. The screen lit up with grainy handheld footage, a dark hallway, the unmistakable voices of her family echoing through the background. And then suddenly, clearly Kody's voice shouting from behind a door, "I'm done explaining myself. If they don't respect me, they don't deserve me." A crash followed, maybe a chair. Christine leaned forward, heart racing. The next clip rolled. Robyn in the kitchen, speaking softly, but urgently. Just delete that footage. He wasn't himself. Don't let anyone see that part. Then a child's voice, whispering, but what if it keeps happening? Christine's blood ran cold. The video continued, cutting between rooms, months, and moods. Clips of Meri alone, sobbing into her hands. A young child asking, when is daddy coming home? Kody shouting about being the only one who works around here, as Janelle sat immobile at the dining room table. It wasn't a documentary, it was a confession. By the time Christine was done, a voiceover of herself saying her own daughter whispering, I feel invisible in the mirror. The laundry was in forgo. Her phone fell from her hands, and for the first time in years, she screamed, not with anger, with rage, with sorrow. In the frantic, shattered cry of a mother who saw that all the things she struggled to keep her children safe from had already come to them, and they had documented it, because no one else would hear. Within 60 minutes, the video reached 1 million views. By dawn, it had reached 10. Kody Brown made a statement at noon. This video is a manipulated montage of taken out of context moments intended to shame a father who has sacrificed everything for his family. He accused Christine, then Janelle, then the press, but he didn't blame the child. Not on camera. He didn't need to. Everybody already knew who created the video. And that child, older now, with more hurt than anybody should have to endure, wasn't hiding. They had signed the upload with 4 words, you told me not to speak. Janelle watched the video next. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She sat at her desk, watched every second, and when it ended, she called Meri. We're suing, she said. Together. No more pretending. Meri didn't speak right away. Then she whispered, yes. The following day, 3 women sued. Christine Brown, Janelle Brown, and Meri Brown. The allegations were biting. Emotional abuse, defamation, coercive control. 5 years worth of text messages, deleted voicemails, private recordings, and a timeline of internal TLC production notes detailing Kody's off-camera antics were all submitted by Christine's lawyer. TLC suspended filming that same afternoon. Kody initiated a countersuit at sundown. The Brown family was not a family anymore. It was a lawsuit, and the courtroom would soon be a battlefield. The initial hearing was not taped, but there were reporters outside. When Kody walked out onto the steps of the courthouse, he glared at the camera and declared, you don't know the truth. That video was edited. I'm a father, not a villain. But behind him, Robyn remained silent. Her eyes were bloodshot. Her lips were tightly pursed. And when a reporter yelled, Robyn, do you deny the video is real? She did not reply. Christine came by herself. She had no makeup, no camera smile. Only a brown folder tucked under her arm with the words, United footage written on it. She didn't say a word to press. She didn't have to. Her eyes said it all. And behind her trailed Janelle and Meri, quiet, unflappable, and more together than ever before when cameras rolled. Within the courtroom, tension changed. The judge, a hawk-eyed woman in her 60s, watched the video in private before the hearing. She viewed it twice, then sealed it from public record. But the harm had been done. And the first thing she said in court were chilling words. This is not a custody case. This is a credibility case. Kody's lawyer protested. He asked the video be disqualified. He argued it invaded privacy, featured children, and had been maliciously edited. But Christine's lawyer stood, serene and icy. We are not charging parenting. We are charging a pattern of emotional wearing down, caught in real time, by the very individuals impacted. The judge permitted the video to be kept under seal, but admissible. Kody visibly tense. Robyn averted her gaze. The child who had made the video was in attendance, sitting behind Christine, wearing headphones, quiet, writing in a notebook. Kody never once looked at them. The judge sent the court into recess for 48 hours to consider further evidence. Deleted texts, internal production notes from TLC, and a series of yet-to-be-released video clips shot after the show had actually ceased filming. As the room closed out, Kody grumbled under his breath. You can all thank Christine for this circus. And the kid, still scribbling in the notebook, never looked up. They simply stated, quietly, I did this. Not her. Kody didn't say anything. He just continued walking. The camera didn't trail behind him this time, because it wasn't his story anymore. And what followed was only going to get worse. If a member of your family betrayed the secret for the world to discover, would you support them or turn against them? Let us hear from you in the comments below. Your voice is heard on Sister Wives Daily Scoop. Sign up now to Sister Wives Daily Scoop for the next explosive installment in this courtroom. Exposed, because what's revealed next might be even worse than the tape itself. The courtroom was chillier than it had been, not only from the air conditioning rumble overhead of the tall oak walls, but from the quiet that met Kody as he re-entered. The press had been excluded now. No flashes, no answer, just the muted click of doors shutting behind him, trapping him in. There was no podium remaining, no lights, only a judge, an attorney, and a video that would not desist. He adjusted his suit, not even noticing the thread hanging loose by the cuff. He always used to catch those things, used to tweak the position of his tie for the cameras. Now it didn't matter. There was no one left to impress. Christine sat quietly at the plaintiff's table, her hair pulled back, piled in front of her, a pen between the fingers she never put to paper. Janelle to her left, firm-jawed and impassive. Meri, sitting at the end, didn't even glance at him. He glanced over the benches behind them. The child was there again, no longer carrying a notebook, just watching. The judge came in and didn't lose any time. This session will address the defense's argument regarding the legitimacy and context of the video submitted to the court, she said. We'll begin with opening statement. Kody's attorney rose quickly, polished, clean-shaven, confident, at least for now. Your Honor, he started, this video, dubbed by the media as the Lost Tapes is not a documentary. It is an edited sequence of selective tapes, recorded surreptitiously, sliced and diced without explanation, and distributed with the purpose to humiliate and ruin my client's reputation. Christine did not blink. Janelle's face didn't budge. Meri crossed her arms. This isn't proof, the lawyer went on. It's emotional sabotage. It doesn't convey the whole picture of Kody Brown as a father. The financial support, sacrifices, commitment to raising multiple children in multiple homes. Sure, there were times of stress, but in a family of this magnitude, that's unavoidable. He addressed the judge. And most importantly, these recordings contain children, taken without legal permission, infringing on their privacy and likely exposing them to further harm. The judge nodded slightly. Is that your complete argument? For now. The room shifted to Christine's attorney. She rose slowly, walked to the middle of the courtroom, and without regard for Kody said, there is no such thing as context when a child pleads for love and is instructed to earn it. Silence. She went on, her tone unbroken. This court has viewed unedited clips. You've heard unmanipulated audio. You've viewed timelines, receipts, corroboration. What you haven't viewed, what the public hasn't viewed, are the nights these women sat in silence as the camera crew broke down and Kody broke down with them. What you haven't viewed are the therapy reports, the sleepless nights, the fear. This video did not reveal Kody Brown. It affirmed what everyone already knew. Kody fidgeted in his seat. Do you want context? The lawyer asked, now addressing the judge. Then let's give it. She grasped a tablet, hit play. The sound resonated in the courtroom. Kody's voice, distinct, you're crying again, you think that gets you love. The eyes of the judge narrowed. The lawyer stopped the clip. That's not editing. That's not propaganda. That's a father. Behind closed doors. She turned back to the bench. The children were not just affected, and they were chained. The judge held up a hand. I've heard enough. Call your next witness. Kody's attorney called a former TLC producer. The man took the stand, fidgeting, visibly uncomfortable. He was sworn in. State your role, the attorney said. I was a field producer on Sister Wives from 2016 to 2020. Did you ever see behavior on the part of Kody Brown that could be interpreted as emotionally abusive? The producer paused, then nodded. Objection, Christine's lawyer said. We ask for specificity. Overruled, the judge replied. Proceed. The producer swallowed. There were instances, off-camera, fights, screaming. The wives would shut down. Children would leave the room. Sometimes we were instructed to keep rolling, sometimes to cut. Kody's lawyer interrupted. Did Mr. Brown ever call out abuse to a child in your presence? The producer threw his head back. Not directly. But what? The room waited with bated breath. But there were things we weren't permitted to shoot. I inquired about some of the scenes, such as Robyn closing the door on one of the younger children when they cried. I was informed, quote, it's not part of the story arc. Christine shut her eyes. The judge jotted a note. Kody fidgeted again. His attorney sat down. Christine's lawyer stood again. Were there ever scenes you yourself felt went too far? Yes. Were they ever shown? No. Did Kody Brown have final say over what scenes made the show? Paul, yes. Christine's lawyer nodded. No further questions. The producer stood down. The judge turned to Kody. Mr. Brown, you may speak. Kody rose. Not because he wished to, because he had to. He rolled up his sleeves, then glanced at the judge, not at his wives, not at the child, and started. Overwhelmed, he whispered. I tried to keep it all together. Multiple homes, multiple children, public scrutiny. I lost it. I was tired. His voice broke. But I never intended to hurt anyone. He glanced around the room, his eyes resting on the child in the gallery. I didn't realize they were taping. No one shifted. No one said anything. He continued. If I'd known, I would've. He caught himself. The judge leaned forward. Nothing, Mr. Brown. Kody remained silent. He sat down. Christine's lawyer turned to the judge. We request the court receive into evidence the complete 37-minute, unedited version of the original tape, to be viewed under seal in chambers. Granted, the judge replied. We further request that records of child therapy with 2 of the minor children be considered by the court to determine emotional impact. Granted. And lastly, we submit a subpoena for the internal TLC edit logs. Kody's lawyer objected. But this time, the judge wasn't hesitant. Granted. And suddenly, Kody's entire past, both personal and public, was now up for trial. The footage would be viewed. The truth would be recorded. And Kody, he was no longer narrating. The story was narrating itself. The courtroom was subdued that morning, not because there were fewer people, but because of what was going to unfold. Reporters clustered outside, penned off by metal fencing, their voices subdued, even though their cameras rolled. Behind them, people seemed to be holding their collective breath, wood imbued with tension. Even the judge's robe weighed more. As she settled into her chair, everyone was aware that this was not going to be any ordinary day. Christine sat up front, hands folded together, eyes straight ahead. Janelle made a quick adjustment to her bracelet, but spoke not a word. Meri didn't budge. They weren't here today as ex-wives. They were here as mothers. The child came in through a side door, not the central hallway, not from the gallery. They proceeded down the hall with a court advocate in tow, head held high. No crying. There was none to spare. They had cried plenty enough beforehand, for any of this to have even reached the court. They were both sworn in, hands struggling to cover the Bible's thickness. The judge leaned in. Are you prepared? She asked. The child nodded. Christine closed her eyes. Janelle stared at the ground. Kody did not blink. The lawyer stood, speaking softly. Please tell your name to the court. The child paused, not out of fear, but because they knew, once uttered, the world would be aware of it as well. My name is Grace. A pause. And you are the one who recorded and posted the video live inside the Brown house. What you didn't see. Yes. Why did you create the video? Grace's fingers twitched a little in their lap. Because nobody believed us. Who's us as the children? All of us. When we complained of things being bad, everybody said we were lucky, that we were featured on TV, that we had a large family, that we should be thankful. The lawyer stopped. Did you ever explain to your father what you felt? Grace nodded. On a few occasions. What did you experience when you did? A bigger pause now. He shut up. Then he was angry. Then he'd tell us we were being dramatic, that we were just parroting what our moms said. The judge looked at them, kindly, and asked, was that true? Grace shook their head. I saw it. I heard it. Nobody told me what to feel. I felt it myself. The room filled with that silence like glass. The attorney went on. Why release the video publicly? I didn't want to. I tried to send it to TLC. They never wrote back. I sent it to an attorney. I never heard from them. So I put it out. Because I was sick of people believing he was a good dad. Because he had good lighting. Christine shook her head, shoulders trembling. Janelle put her hand out and touched her arm softly. Meri wiped one eye, fast and quiet. The lawyer nodded. What in the video do you believe indicates the truth most clearly? The scene when he says to my sister, stop crying, said Grace. She had just asked him why he had missed her school play. She was 6 years old. He said to her, you can't guilt me. I'm doing the best that I can. And what did she reply? Grace slowly blinked. She said, okay, I won't ask again. The lawyer turned to the judge. No further questions. Then stood Kody's lawyer, voice colder. Grace, you know filming people without their permission is against the law in many states? Yes. And minors, your brothers and sisters? Grace nodded. I was one of them too. Do you think it was right to show private moments of other kids in your video? I blurred their faces, but you did use them. I asked them, and they agreed. Yes, you're sworn in. Grace met his gaze. I know. The lawyer paced. You are not a legal adult. Did your mother assist you in publishing the video? No. Did she know you were doing it? No. Did she pressure you to do it?
You?
Are you upset with your father? Grace hesitated. Yes. Why? Because I kept trying to be enough, and he kept demanding more. Kody shifted for the first time. Grace caught his eye. He always said he loved us all equally, but we could feel the difference. We weren't allowed to say it, but we could feel it. The attorney sighed, exasperated. Grace, do you realize that your video has caused a media firestorm that can irreparably harm your father's reputation? Yes, and you're fine with that. No. But you went ahead and did it anyway? Yes. Why? Grace spoke directly to the judge. Because it already hurt us. The room gasped collectively. The attorney sat down. The judge cleared her throat, voice gentle now. Grace, is there something you'd like to add? Grace nodded. I just want people to stop pretending it was fine. That we were fine, because we weren't. And the video? It's not even about him. It's about us finally saying, this happened, and not being afraid that no one will believe it. The judge nodded. You may return to your seat. Grace returned to the bench. Christine stood, met them halfway, wrapped her arms around them, and held them tight, like the wind had blown them almost off their feet, and she was holding them firm to ground. Kody didn't budge. His jaw was clenched, his eyes were glazed, but he didn't budge. The session recessed, and as everyone made their way out, Grace stopped by the gallery door, turned around, and gazed once again at the courtroom, at the judge, at their father, at the silence, and whispered, now they know. Then turned, and walked away. And nothing in that court, or within the Brown family, would ever remain the same again. The courtroom seemed warmer than it had before, as if the truth had added heat. The atmosphere was thick, with the sort of anticipation that makes silence more audible. No one actually said it, but everyone knew what today was. Today was Robyn's turn. She came in late, hair pulled back, no makeup, her gait slower than normal, her face too narrow. She did not sit beside Kody. She did not even glance his way. She sat soundlessly at the end of the room, and remained there until her name was spoken. When it was, she winced, just slightly, and then stood. As she made her way to the stand, the room adjusted, reporters straightened up, attorneys uncapped their pens. Even Christine, who had remained calm throughout Grace's testimony, took a more decisive breath, and leaned forward. Robyn was sworn in. She folded her hands in her lap, and waited. The attorney moved slowly, as if not to chase her off. Mrs. Brown, she started, you are a public figure for more than 10 years. You have done thousands of interviews, family specials, and public reunions. Do you realize now that you are sworn in? Yes, Robyn answered. Her tone was gentle, raspy, as though she hadn't spoken in days. Good, the attorney said. Let's get started. A video clip started to play on the courtroom screen. The lights reduced slightly. No music, no introduction, just Robyn, sitting at a kitchen table, whispering to one of the younger kids. If you tell anyone what happened, we'll all get in trouble. Daddy will be upset, and we don't want to make things worse. Okay? The voice of the child responded. But I'm scared. Robyn's, we just have to keep quiet. The room was frozen. When the lights resumed, Robyn didn't deny it. She gazed down at her hands. Is that your voice? The attorney asked. Yes. Is that your child? Yes. What were you talking about when you said, what happened? Robyn hesitated. I don't know the specific day. There were a lot of times where Kody lost control. Did you think the children were in harm's way? Pause. Not physically, Robyn said, but emotionally, perhaps. The attorney did not blink. Did you think that silence was safer than the truth? Yes. For who? Another stop. Then for everyone. Christine's eyes welled. Janelle shut hers. Meri, for the first time throughout the trial, gazed straight at Robyn. Let's discuss another clip, went on the attorney. The screen came back to life. This time Robyn was standing over a young child who won't eat. Kody off camera says, let her starve. She's being dramatic. Robyn responds, fine. You heard your dad. The judge herself stopped the tape. That's enough, she said, voice lower now. Exhausted. The lawyer nodded. Mrs. Brown, Do you feel your husband's conduct in these clips was justified? No? Then why did you defend him on camera for so long? Robyn looked up, eyes full now. Because I thought that's what loyalty was. Even when it hurt the kids, I didn't feel like I had a choice. The lawyer took a step back. No further questions. Kody's attorney moved quickly, already in damage control. Robyn, do you think you were bullied into covering for Kody? Yes? Was he ever threatening you in any way on camera? Not in a violent way, but in an abandonment way, in a shame way. Did you ever think he would abandon you if you didn't cover for him? Yes? Did you ever feel pressured by TLC to present a certain story? Yes. Did you ever get in trouble from TLC for talking about Kody negatively on camera? Yes. And do you think the scenes that Grace cut were fair? Robyn paused. I think it was real. The lawyer blinked. But was it just? Another hesitation. Perhaps not to Kody, but fair to the truth? Yes? The room fell silent once more. Kody leaned forward, his hand across his mouth. He did not look angry anymore. He looked hollowed out. Robyn descended, slowly, quietly. But rather than going back to her seat, she exited the courtroom. She did not glance back. Not once. The judge adjourned to recess. In the hallway, outside, the crowd buzzed. Not with din, but with reaction. Gaping people murmuring, texting their phones. The video had been locked away from the public eye. But Grace's transcript had escaped. The quotes were spreading like wildfire now. Headlines in the news seemed like open sores. You told me not to talk. I recorded it because nobody believed me. He only loves one wife. Christine emerged into the light for the first time in hours. She leaned against the marble column, eyes closed, allowing the sun to warm her face. Janelle leaned alongside her. They're going to despise him for this, she whispered. Christine opened her eyes. They already do. Now they can just say it. Meri stood behind them. Not close, but not far either. She finally said something. Robyn's gone. Christine nodded. Not the way she thought she'd go. But yeah, she's gone. In the courtroom, Kody sat by himself, still gazing at the door. Robyn had departed. His hands slightly shook, placed on the table. The lawyer spoke to him in a hushed tone, but he did not react. He simply sat, not as a patriarch, not as a TV star, just a man on trial, not merely in court, but in every household that had ever seen him grin while his family quietly shattered. The tension came back like a second storm. When court resumed after recess, there was no telling what might come next for Robyn's disintegration on the stand. But the response came shortly, in the person of a man in a gray blazer and badge lanyard still dangling around his neck. Please state your name and position, the lawyer asked. Michael Trevors, senior producer, TLC. I was the network's direct point of contact with the Brown family while we were filming. He didn't appear nervous. He appeared exhausted. What years did you work on the show? From season 4 all the way through to the final season before it was removed from rotation. And during that period of time, did you have access to raw, unedited footage? Yes. I edited all dailies, interview sessions, home video, and confessional tapes before anything went into post-production. Did you ever see material that when aired would have altered public opinion of Kody Brown? Michael paused, then leaned into the microphone. Yes, many times. The courtroom didn't respond, but only because the crowd was in suspended animation. What sorts of material were cut back? The attorney went on. There were moments of verbal threatening, scream off camera, some moments where the children were clearly intimidated. One time, Kody broke a door while fighting. We cut it out and shot a lighter moment the next morning to fill in the timeline. Why were those scenes cut out? We were under pressure from executive management to keep the family brand intact. That was to keep Kody as strong but misunderstood father. The wives as complex but supportive. The kids as independent but loyal. So, truth was compromised for branding. Yes. Were you ever directly instructed not to show emotional distress or conflict? Yes. I was told by high-level execs, in these exact words, the show sells love, not litigation. The words resonated throughout the room. Love, not litigation. And yet here they were, up to their knees in it. Did you personally witness any behavior you found disturbing? Yes, on a number of occasions. There was one episode that we shot that we never broadcast. Kody locked himself in his office for 6 hours after yelling at one of the older boys. When the boy knocked to apologize, Kody yelled through the door, "You lost your father today." We cut the entire day's shoot. Christine's eyes were already red. That was her son. The lawyer addressed the judge. Permission to introduce this video into sealed court testimony, granted. They did not show the clip in court, but the dialogue was enough. Did the wives ever request scenes to be cut? Yes. Christine used to ask us to cut out shots of her crying. She was trying to spare her children. Meri pleaded with us once not to air a confessional in which she admitted she felt disposable. The judge winced at the word. Did you put it out anyway? Yes. Why? It tested well with focus groups. Even Kody squirmed in his seat now. The truth was not only a threat to his persona, it was now publicly revealing how even the edits were a betrayal. Were there ever times when you felt filming should have ceased altogether? Michael nodded. Yes, but ratings were too high, advertisers were too loyal, and there was too much money on the table. The attorney paused, then slowly approached the jury. This trial has been about footage, about truth, about what the public sees versus what the family lived. And now you've heard it, the trauma wasn't just ignored, it was curated, engineered, packaged as entertainment. Michael left the stand. No cross-examination, no rebuttal, because what could be said? The courtroom breathed, not a breath of relief, but of awareness. The narrative had never been as it appeared. Not to the viewers, not even to the players. Outside, fans were already responding to leaked Michael quotes from his testimony. Forums were filled with outrage. Old viewers uploaded side-by-side comparisons of aired footage and now disproven allegations. Reddit threads were filled with timelines, conspiracies, and one word that kept popping up like a phantom. Cover Up. Kody, for the very first time, seemed genuinely shaken. His proud stance had crumbled. His hands lay still on the table. When his attorney attempted to intervene, he didn't respond. Because how do you defend something the whole nation is now respinning as a tale? But Christine, she didn't weep this time. She observed the ripple effect quietly. She knew what was coming next. Because this wasn't about her suffering anymore. It was about the world getting to witness it. The judge adjourned court early, citing emotional exhaustion for witnesses and employees. But nobody actually left. They lingered in the corridors, whispering, sobbing, making social media videos. Protesters had been gathered outside the courthouse, not with hate signs, but support signs. Believe the children, we watched. Now we know. Justice beyond ratings. It was an odd thing, to witness a family's most intimate disintegration become a rallying point for strangers. Christine emerged with Janelle and Meri on either side of her. They said nothing. They simply gazed upward at the sky, as if it were somehow the only location from which no one could tape them. Then Meri quietly said, "They were never just episodes." Christine nodded. "They were our lives." And for the first time in years, Meri took her hand. If you've been left reeling by this truth bomb and you want to stand with the actual voices behind the camera, hit that subscribe button now so you can stay in the know. Because this story is far from over. This is Sister Wives Daily Scoop, and your voice is important. What do you think should come next? Leave it in the comments. The courtroom silence wasn't quiet. It was tense. Everyone was aware of what was about to happen, but nobody was prepared. The kids were going to testify. Up first was Logan, the oldest, a young man now, no longer in the spotlight. His appearance alone elicited gasps from a traumatized, tension-filled courtroom. He entered quietly with determination. No cameras, no sensationalism, only truth. He swore to tell the truth. The courtroom leaned forward. "What is your relationship to the defendant?" "He's my father." "And how would you characterize your relationship today?" Logan hesitated. "Distant." Intentionally, a murmur ran through the gallery. "Did you see behavior growing up that you now recognize as emotional abuse?" "Yes." "More specifically, please." "There was favoritism. Blatant favoritism. We all knew Robyn's children were special. They were indulged. We were punished." He took a deep breath. "There were weeks when I didn't hear from him, despite the fact that he lived in the same house." Christine's eyes welled, but she didn't glance away. Logan went on. "I saw my mom sob herself to sleep after a shoot, and wake up and smile for the camera because she didn't want to mess up the show." The lawyer stepped forward carefully. "Did you ever feel safe?" "No, not by him." "And why are you here today?" "Because he still believes we were mere props in his production." The silence was once a vacuum, sucking all excuses out of Kody's side. Then Savannah stepped up. Her voice was shaking as she stood before the judge, holding onto a tissue. She didn't say a word for a second, just stared down at her hands, then up at the judge. He said I was hard to love. Aghast, Meri closed her eyes, head shaking in shock. And when I wept, he'd tell me, this is why I stay away. You're too emotional. She gazed at Kody. He winced. You declared to the world we were a family, but you were constructing an image, not a home. The attorney nodded sympathetically. Savannah, can you explain to the court what you brought with you today? She extracted herself from her coat and produced an envelope. A letter. Written by. She paused, her voice breaking. Written by my sister truly. Christine's face fell. She didn't want to testify. She's still afraid. But she wanted to be heard. The judge leaned forward. You may read the letter. Savannah smoothed it out with trembling hands. Her voice was low but firm. Dear Judge, I'm too young to know all of this, but I do know what love is supposed to be like. It's supposed to be safe. It's supposed to be like someone appears when you want them to. My dad didn't appear anymore. He wasn't safe anymore. He shouted a lot. He criticized Mom a lot. Once I said to him that I missed him and he replied, I miss my real kids. I didn't understand that. I thought I existed. I want you to make him realize I'm not in a TV show. I'm human. And I still love him. But I don't believe him. Help us please. When Savannah finished reading, the second half of the courtroom was crying. Even the bailiff looked down. The judge inquired kindly, would truly be willing to testify if she was promised complete protection. Savannah nodded. Perhaps, but she said she's already spoken her truth. And perhaps that was sufficient. Kody didn't glance up. He didn't glance at his children. Not once, because to glance would be to accept. Accept that the children who once ran into his arms now cowered before his shadow. As the session closed, the judge called for a 24-hour recess. The atmosphere was too heavy with sorrow to carry on. But outside, something astonishing occurred. A group of teenage viewers who had grown up with the show were now waving placards, not clamoring for autographs, but for responsibility. We trusted you. Now we trust them. Kids deserve the truth. Reality TV has costs. The world was no longer viewing a family. They were viewing and reckoning. If you're still here, your voice is along for the ride. Click that subscribe button to ride along with every epiphany, every breakdown, and every bombshell in this journey. This is Sister Wives Daily Scoop, and we invite your opinion. What would you tell Kody if you had the microphone? Let your thoughts fall in the comments. Kody sat stiff in his chair, face icy, jaw locked. For hours he had sat through the men and women he once called family tear apart his name. His silence had been deafening, but now, at last, it was his turn. His defense lawyer, a well-dressed man named Leonard Pike, stood firmly, snapping open a folder as if the truth were a technicality to be corrected. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, he began. We've heard powerful stories, but emotion is not evidence. Sentiment is not law. And family is messy, especially when cameras are involved. The courtroom tightened. Leonard had everyone's attention, but not their trust. We have signed contracts, years of them. TLC captured everything with consent. These claims of abuse, manipulation, and emotional trauma are retroactive fabrication, edited through the lens of regret. Christine's head swiveled slowly. The air grew cold. Leonard went on. These women, once proud to be seen on television, once willing to cash in on Kody's guidance and the popularity of the show, are now attempting to rewrite history because the cameras went off in their best interest. There it was, the hint of bitterness, envy, rejection. The judge's eyebrow rose. And your proof, Mr. Pike? Leonard pressed a remote. A screen flickered on. Footage started to roll. Moments from past seasons of Sister Wives depicting birthday celebration, weddings, and quiet dinner. Kody laughing with the kids, Meri smiling, Christine laughing at a family game night, Janelle cooking burgers by his side in the yard. This, Leonard said, is the guy they want to label a manipulative monster. You're not observing a dictator. You're observing an exhausted father doing the best he could under impossible standards. An indulgent murmur seeped through the gallery. Were there fights? Of course. What family doesn't fight? But you can't redefine a decade of life as abuse just because the story shifted. Kody finally broke his silence, his tone low but tinged with frustration. I gave them everything. My name, my protection, my loyalty. And now, because they didn't get their way, I'm the villain. The judge stared straight at him. Is that your statement, Mr. Brown? Kody nodded, his voice rising. You don't know what it's like To have cameras in your house. To have 4 wives constantly demanding attention. To try and raise kids while the world judges you. He turned toward the wives' table. You wanted freedom? You had it. But don't rewrite our past just because you've changed your minds about the life you chose. Robyn shifted uncomfortably. For the first time in days, she appeared uncomfortable. She whispered something to her lawyer, but was waved off. Leonard attempted to get back on track. And then, Your Honor, we offer the following digital contracts signed by all of the wives consenting to the final season cuts of the show. These contracts release liability for the use of footage and state that they had no objection to final cuts. The judge glanced over the papers, slowly turning. Meri's lawyer rose to his feet. Permission to respond. Granted. Meri rose up on her own. The courtroom fell silent. I signed that because I was scared, she said. Scared I'd lose everything. Scared I'd be blamed. But mostly scared because I was exhausted. Exhausted from fighting. She glanced at Kody. Her voice broke. You didn't keep us safe. You kept your reputation safe. Leonard cut in. Objection subjective. Emotional conjecture. Sustained, the judge told her softly. But it was done. The jury hadn't been blinded to what they were seeing. Not on their faces, and not in the tear trails on Christine's cheeks. Abruptly, the prosecution had new evidence. We would like to enter Exhibit Esh into evidence, a collection of uncut behind-the-scenes audio recordings made by a TLC sound engineer. These were not for broadcast, but were recorded during scene setups. The judge blinked. Proceed. The first audio recording sounded out through the speaker system. Kody's voice. Cut that scene. She's too mad. We want Christine to appear willing this episode. Another. Can someone get Janelle to send the children into the other room? I don't want them messing up this dinner shot. And then Robyn, can you re-say that line but sad? Like you're being left out. It plays better. The courtroom was on ice. The manipulation was no longer suggested. It was staged, directed. A final clip played. They don't need to know everything. Let's just keep the storyline focused on Meri being distant. The rest will follow. Robyn's eyes went wide. Her mouth opened slightly. Surprise. Exposed. Christine hid behind her hand, trembling. The judge addressed Kody, voice low and accusatory. Mr. Brown, were you consciously calling the shots beyond your function as a participant? Kody faltered. His lawyer put a hand on his shoulder. No, he replied. But nobody believed it anymore. What had begun as a courtroom struggle now was disintegrating into a scripted deception, a methodically painted facade constructed to manage the narrative, and the individuals within it. If you've read this far, you're seeing the fall of a reality TV dynasty, and the voice of those who lived within it. Press subscribe to Sister Wives Daily Scoop, so that you never miss the truth behind the lights, the cuts, and the confession. And let us know in the comments, do you believe the show should have wrapped up ages ago? Or did it finally reveal its true face? The final day of trial arrived, not with thunder, but with stillness. A strange, weighted calm settled over the courtroom as though everyone knew that after today, something fundamental would be broken. Permanently. Families can bend, stretch, even fracture. But once the truth is spoken out loud, there's no pretending it wasn't heard. Kody sat rigidly at the defense table, fingers interlocked, lips clamped into a colorless line. He hadn't glanced at the wives since the last audio tapes had been played, since Robyn's artful silence had shattered, and the courtroom had discovered what it truly meant to be edited, set, and framed for an audience, not a family. Christine sat straight, eyes ahead, no fear. Janelle muttered prayers to herself. Meri gripped the arm of the bench, as though it were the only stable thing in her world. And Robyn, she seemed to wish she could be anywhere else. But she remained. The judge came back onto the bench. The jury had been deliberating for more than 4 hours. The haste of their verdict was its own form of message. All rise, the bailiff declared. 12 serious faces marched in. Some looked directly ahead. Some blinked more rapidly than usual. One had obviously been crying. The court clerk rose. In the case of Christine Brown, Janelle Brown and Meri Brown versus Kody Brown, on the charges of emotional abuse, coercive manipulation, and violation of familial contract. How do you find the defendant? The four-person addressed. We find the defendant liable. Kody gasped. The courtroom did not applaud. It did not gasp. It simply breathe, like something knotted in all of their chests had finally been unwound. The four-person went on. We urge financial damages in the amount of $2.1 million. We also urge the plaintiff's request to limit future use of their images in promotional materials concerning Sister Wives, and seek a cease and desist of any unaired material concerning their minor children. Kody blinked. His reality was slipping, not from beneath him, but from within him. And then came the final decision. In addition, this court finds the presence of minor children in the leaked footage to have been a violation of privacy ethics, independent of contractual obligation. The court hereby directs an immediate halt in the making and selling of the lost tapes, and suggests federal review of child labor protections in unscripted TV. There was a silence this time, not of tension, but seriousness. Robyn whispered, "What does it mean for us?" No one replied. The judge rapped the gavel. "This court is adjourned." The gavel boomed like thunder. Christine did not weep. She rose, glanced at Kody once more. "You taped our lives, Kody," she said calmly, "but you never observed us." Meri trailed after her, shoulders squared. Janelle moved more slowly. As she reached the door, she glanced back. "Once, you might have been a husband, but you decided to be a director." Robyn attempted to follow them, but Christine's hand flashed out to stop her gently. "You knew," she said softly. "I didn't know it would get this far," Robyn said. "But you knew," Janelle said. And with that they walked away. Kody was sitting alone at the defense table. Just him, the vacant seat to his right, and the closing credits of a life that he had believed he was in control of. Outside the courtroom doors, press coverage spread like wildfire. Microphones blinked, headlines whirled. But within the minds of those who watched, loyal fans, eager critics, and stunned observers, a deeper conversation had already commenced. What does it mean when reality TV ceases to be entertainment and begins to be evident? If you're still reading, you've seen a family fall apart on the world stage, and no editors were involved this time. Subscribe now to Sister Wives Daily Scoop so you won't miss the next bombshell that goes off. And tell us in comments, do reality TV families need stricter guidelines? Or did the Browns sign their own death warrant the instant they opened the door to the cameras?